Hi, welcome to day 2 of week 4 on design and UX. Today we're going to be looking at a few more specific things. One is called accessibility, which I'll explain in a second. The other one is contrast, and then we'll also look at mobile development. First, I wanted to start with accessibility. For years, I lived together with someone with a disability called Usher syndrome. I've changed the name of that person, but let's call her Fatima for now. So Fatima has Usher syndrome, and one of the things that happens with someone who has Usher is that they are deaf, so they cannot hear any sounds on websites, but they also have tunnel vision, so they cannot see the edges, plus they are slowly losing their sight, so they are slowly going blind. So I work for the WooCommerce team, and I've opened the website here of WooCommerce. This is how we would see it. We can see everything fine, but someone with Usher syndrome will come to this website, and when they still have good sight, they will still not be able to see the edges because they have tunnel vision. So you see that the menu disappears, the logo disappears from what someone with Usher will see when they look at the website. And as they go more blind, the center of their vision will also start to blur. So you see that slowly but certain, everything becomes unclear. So this is just one of the examples. I've listed a link in the resources to read some more stories of different people with different challenges when they go online. And accessibility is a way to start including those people when they visit your website. First of all, why would you do that? There's two main reasons. First of all, because you want more people on your website, and by making sure that your website is accessible for everyone, you open it up to more people. The second one is that Google and other search engines like this. If they notice that your website is accessible for more people, you will do good on SEO, which means search engine optimization, which means that if someone Googles for, in this case, e-commerce, and our WooCommerce website is doing good with accessibility, Google will push us up higher up the list of search results. So it's important to try to do that. I've listed quite a few resources related to accessibility. There are a lot of things that you can monitor, look for, an endless amount. So one of the things I would recommend that is that if you look for a theme, look for one that claims that they are accessibility friendly, because that means that the developers have brought that into account. If you go to WordPress.org and look for a theme, you'll be able to search for accessible themes there. A second thing, and as I said, there are many things to explore, is to look at contrast. Contrast means that you make sure that your website can be viewed by everyone, including people with a disability, and even color blindness could be counted among that. So for example, if you use green or red as your main colors, it might be that some people can't read your website because they can't distinguish between those colors. But another one would be bad lighting. We often design in perfect circumstances. We're sitting inside our house behind our computer, but often people will read your website while they are in the bright sunlight, or when they have to dim their phone because they're in the movie theaters and they feel bored. There are a lot of options where people might want to read. So if we look at the website again of WooCommerce, you can see that even with the blurred layer on top, you can still kind of read what's underneath as the central text, and you can see that there's a button there. It's not that clear what the button actually says, but it's clear that it's a button, and that's what the user should go to. So that's a good way to do contrast. If you look at the website, so there's a lot of ways, first of all, to check if contrast is good. I've listed a few resources, but we'll look into one of them. And what we'll check is the homepage of Girls in Tech. and specifically not the homepage but the program with the classroom. And one of the things that I noticed there is that the light gray text of the menu doesn't stand out that much. So what I do is I will use Google Inspect. So what that does is I click right, I click on Inspect, and then in the styles I will be able to find the color, and I can see that that's D1, D1, D1 is the gray color, and the background color of the menu bar is white. So I will then go to contrastchecker.com. As the foreground color I will enter D1, 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 and the background color FFF, which is white. And you'll see that across the board we get bad ratings for that. So this is actually a very bad color combination for someone with a visual disability. So this is something that ideally would be changed. Next, when you're designing your website, you also want to make sure that people can read it on their phones or on their tablets, because the mobile world is increasing. More and more people are using phones to go on the internet, so you want to make sure that your website doesn't look horrible when it's watched on or looked or reviewed on your phone. So one of the principles that has arisen in the last few years is called mobile first, which means that when you start designing your website, that you first always check how it looks on mobile, because it's a lot easier to start with mobile and then adjust it for desktop than the other way around. If you make fancy, amazing looking things on desktop, it's a lot more difficult to adjust those to a mobile version. It's possible, but it's better to start with the mobile version. So how do you look for that mobile version? You can of course open your phone and look for that, but there are also other options. Let's go to the Global Classroom website again, and I've opened the Inspect element before, and what you can see is that the second item there shows Toggle Device Toolbar. And if I click on that, you will see that there's already a device selected, the Galaxy S5 in this case, and then I can see what it would look like on that phone. And I can choose different items, for example, an iPad, and I can quickly zoom in a bit more, and that's what it will look like on an iPad. Another way to do it is to use the WordPress customizer. If you go to your website, you can go to Appearance, Customize, and then you'll see that at the bottom, this is what mine looks like, you'll see at the bottom that there are 3 icons, the bottom right. One's just for desktop, one is for your iPad or other tablets, and one is for phone. It's not as specific as the Google Inspect elements, but the nice thing is that if you're using this, you can straight away start adjusting it and getting the preview of what it'll look like on mobile devices. So that brings us to the end of day 2.